I'm Courtney Harrigan, your real estate matchmaker, and today I'm going to break down all the money that you need to budget for to buy your home. I get asked the same question all the time. How much money do I actually need to buy a home? I want you to be confident that you know the numbers throughout the process. So today I'm going to break it down using a simple number, like let's say we're paying $300,000 for the home. We're gonna make an offer, right? After we find the perfect home, I'll go home, I'll write an offer for you depending on what the terms and price that we decide we want to write up. I'll send that to the listing agent. The listing agent will then present our offer to the seller. And let's say in this hypothetical scenario, the seller says, I love this offer, I'm accepting it. Congratulations, big step. The next step after we get an accepted offer is our earnest money deposit. This shows the seller that you're really serious about purchasing the property. You could budget around 1% as a rule of thumb, which would be in this scenario $3,000 on a $300,000 purchase price, or you could budget to put a flat fee down. It really depends on how competitive our situation is. The great thing about the earnest money deposit is that it's not an additional fee. It goes toward the purchase of your property. So what happens is we take the money, we hold it in our brokerage escrow account, and at the closing table, that money gets applied toward the total purchase of your property. The next step is the home inspection. I highly recommend that you order a home inspection, and there are other inspections that I recommend as well. They're all optional, but I definitely recommend ordering all of these inspections during our contingency period in the contract so that we can use that as leverage to negotiate for any necessary repairs with the seller, and we know that you're getting the home in the condition that you see fit. It's a safe bet to say that you need to budget at least $500 to $1,500 for home inspection and any other inspections that you decide to add. After we come to an agreement with the seller on repairs, corrections, or credits during our inspection contingency period, the lender is essentially waiting for me to give him or her the green light to order the appraisal for us. We don't want to tip our hands, so to speak, and tell the seller or send a signal to the seller that we're ready to move forward with the appraisal regardless, so I want to keep them on their toes a little bit. But let's say we've already come to an agreement, we're going to order the appraisal, and you need to budget around $500 to $675, depending on the type of financing that you're getting. The good thing about the appraisal is you know at the end of the day you're not overpaying for the property because the bank's not going to give you the money for your loan if it's not worth what they had originally agreed to pay. If it appraises for less, then we go back to the negotiation table. The seller will then have to make a choice, and we will say, Mr. or Miss Seller, you need to lower your sale price to what the appraised value is. In most cases, the seller will lower the sale price, and we will be happily on our way to the closing table. On the flip side, if it appraises for higher than the sale price, we're not gonna tell the seller. It's a huge win. I'm a hero. We're all happy. You step into instant equity in your home, and you're super stoked about that. So once we get the clear to close, we're going to the closing table. At the closing table, you need to bring a check. You can't bring cash, so all that cash you have stored under your bed, it's useless. For your down payment, it really depends on the type of financing that you take out, and you can put down, like I said, a minimum of 3% on a conventional loan. So at least budget for 3%. You can also put down 5%, 20%, 50% if you got it like that. If we're putting down 3% on a $300,000 loan, you're gonna need to budget for at least $9,000 to bring to the closing table for your down payment. In addition to your down payment, you also have closing costs. Buyers have closing costs and sellers have closing costs. Buyers have closing costs around 3% of the purchase price is what I would tell you to budget for. So for a $300,000 house, you should budget for around $9,000 for your closing costs. So let's recap. I'm gonna break down all the money you need to bring. So on a $300,000 home, we've got our earnest money deposit, $3,000. You've got your home inspections, at least between $500 and $1,500. You've got your appraisal, $500 to $675, and then you have your closing costs and down payment. Down payment is gonna be $9,000, and closing costs are probably gonna be approximately $9,000 as well. If we're able to, your realtor might be able to negotiate your closing costs to be paid by the seller. Every buyer's journey is different, but when you know the numbers, you can plan with confidence. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, drop your questions in the comments and hit subscribe so that you don't miss the next video. I'm Courtney Harrigan, your real estate matchmaker, and I hope to hear from you soon.